You know what's usually fun? Super Sentai. You know what's usually not as fun? The Super Sentai movies. Super Sentai's films aren't usually a highlight of any given season. This isn't a hard rule, and I'll certainly not apply it to their versus team-up films, but in general, these are movies that run 30 minutes at most and don't strive to do anything more than an average episode, with maybe one memorable or unique aspect, if even that much. 1989 saw the release of Kousoku Sentai Turboranger, the 13th entry in the franchise, though only considered the 11th at the time. Turboranger is set thousands of years after a group of demons, the Boma 100 tribes, are sealed away by humans and fairies at the end of a long war. Over time, due to humanity's pollution, the fairies are unable to stay on the planet and the seals are weakened, leading to the demons' return. The last remaining fairy recruits 5 teenagers who are still able to see fairies to fight the Boma with technology created by scientist and car fanatic Dr. Heisei. It premiered in late February, and its movie would be released only 3 weeks later on March 18th, the same day the 4th episode would air. And by 4th episode, I mean 3rd actual episode. The first episode was an exciting 10th anniversary celebration, aka a clip show that doesn't even fit into continuity. At a running time of 25 minutes, including the title sequence recycled from the TV series, and a mix of elements that come to mind when I think of a Sentai movie, I thought the Turboranger movie would be worth spotlighting. The film opens with an attack happening in the past by the movie's antagonist, Jashin, or evil god, Boma. This is done over some narration explaining who the Boma are. Now what else would follow in this movie made for children than a small child burning alive? The fairy, Lola, sacrifices herself to stop Jashin Boma, who is then sealed away by Saint Beast Lakia. We skip ahead to current times where Jashin Boma Jr. appears and vows to undo the seal and free his father. Sensing the imminent threat, the last remaining fairy goes to tell the Turborangers, her allies in fighting the Boma. Can you tell from the dialogue what her name is? They say her name 6 times in 10 seconds, and yet still felt it necessary to add a subtitle. The Rangers run off from their teacher, who does not appear again for the rest of the movie, and confront Jashin Boma Jr. They fail to stop him from destroying one of the 2 seals and go to meet their mentor, Dr. Heisei, while Agorn, the main antagonist of the series, explains his plan to his underlings. You think that would make the Earth uninhabitable to the demons afterward, but it wouldn't, because of reasons. When Heisei explains to them that Seelan will try to sacrifice herself to reseal Jashin Boma, the Turbo Rangers are determined to stop Junior, and they fail. This includes an odd choice where Ricky, Red Turbo, is defeated by a freeze frame, the deadliest of editing moves, I suppose. The gang is beaten up, but they're still not giving in. Credit where credit's due, this scene really works in my opinion. You know, going into the movie that no one important is going to die, but that doesn't lessen the scene for me. These guys need to sound determined to keep their friend from dying, and they do. They stop Seelan from sacrificing herself and transform, one last time. Thus begins the climax. We got all the villains in one spot and the theme song is playing. This is the moment. This is where our heroes turn everything around. I really wasn't expecting this. Yes, the fight ends with a successful but shouldn't the rest of it have been at least them holding their own against the generals? This is the climax of the film, the last action scene with the Rangers, and most of it's them getting beaten up. I haven't seen a fight this bad since the first time. That makes for a great first impression, doesn't it? So Jashin Boma is injured by the combination attack, and... Can't say I was expecting this bit either. Even the regular villains can't believe it. To wrap the synopsis up, Jashin Boma grows giant, the Turbo Rangers roll out the stock footage to fight him, and I promise you that I didn't actually write that pun intentionally, and the day is saved. The film concludes with everyone watching Seelan who didn't have to die, and nothing I could say could possibly ruin this, except for the fact that Dr. Heisei needs a headset to see and hear fairies, meaning he's just pretending to see her.
この美しい世界を守り抜くことを固く心に誓うのであった。
So that was Turboranger's theatrical release. The film isn't without any merit, let's make that clear here. The acting in particular seemed strong to me during the scenes where the Turborangers showed their resolve. I also don't really think much of any blame could be placed on the actual filmmakers, so I'm not trying to be too harsh here. I mean, they were likely told they needed a 25-minute movie, based on an existing story, one which probably wasn't too far into production considering how far apart they appeared, and they did what they could. That said, this really is a perfect example of what comes to mind when I think of the shorter Sentai films from my experience. It falls a bit short of the average Turboranger episode in terms of quality, despite being longer than an actual episode. It's mostly just action scenes, followed by a different action scene a minute later. Character moments are very limited. None of the Turborangers get to stand out from one another, so if you didn't know their names going into the movie, or anything about them for that matter, then you still wouldn't after finishing it. The only things that stuck out were the acting and the surprise filicide. It's not something I really expected to spend too much time talking about it, and will probably be one of the only shorter Sentai films I spotlight on this channel. Though admittedly, I haven't seen all of them. Maybe the Masked Man movie will have more to it than that opening dance number. Kousoku Sentai Turboranger, the movie, is only worth checking out for the hardcore Sentai fans, just for anyone that wants to say they've seen everything. It really doesn't offer much else to anyone else, but I still will end this review with a recommendation. At the time of this recording, only the first 7 episodes of Turboranger's television series have been translated into English. But going off of that, I've gotten a good enough impression to say that it's likely worth seeing. The first episode really is just a clip show, not worth sitting through, but before you know it, you got fun stuff like baseball skills being used to avoid hitting human dumplings, and people being turned into old-timey folk. A full English DVD release by Chef Factory has not been announced, but a 5-man DVD set is supposedly set to be announced soon, so it's not unreasonable to think that Turboranger could be following it in 2020. So that's certainly something to look forward to. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider pressing the like button or subscribing to see more from the channel. New content comes out monthly.